Golden light flashed. She and Duo woke up in the back seat of a speeding car. Beside her sat the dignified Shin Mingshu, while Shin Ji in the passenger seat looked down at her with a warning. Don't embarrass the Shin family.
The Shin family? Where exactly has the Jade Emperor sent me? The original Chan Duo was just a country orphan, who married into wealth thanks to an ancestral marriage arrangement. But not only was she neglected by her in-laws, she was ultimately framed to death by the scheming Fu Wanqing. Jade Emperor, you've really outdone yourself this time. This isn't experiencing hardship, it's straight up the 18 levels of hell.
Through mind reading, Ji and Duo instantly learned of the original host's tragic fate, and foresaw that after the Shin family went bankrupt, this mother-daughter pair would have to dance in nightclubs for 35 years to repay their debts. As the car entered the Shin family villa, they encountered Fu Wanqing strategically retreating with a suitcase, weeping about how she shouldn't have gotten into what was way. Ji and Duo immediately saw through the empty suitcase. Shin Ji angrily picked up the suitcase, exposing the empty suitcase on the spot, leaving Fu Wanqing utterly humiliated, and giving the Shin family their first glimpse of this new daughter-in-law's unusual capabilities.
What a strategy, putting on a show while making me take the blame. Carrying an empty suitcase for show, you never planned to leave, did you?
After the empty suitcase was exposed, Fu Wanqing claimed she couldn't bear to take even a needle from the Shin family. Ji and Duo went along with it, warmly reminding her to dress warmly, even though there was nothing to take. Leaving Fu Wanqing speechless. Shin Yunhao, the younger brother-in-law, instantly exploded with anger. Protecting Fu Wanqing, he scolded Ji and Duo, taking someone out is too much.
So fierce. Love-struck fools are indeed unapproachable. So, since Fu Wanqing couldn't marry the eldest Shin brother, she ended up with me, her younger brother-in-law who's had a crush on her for years. He just turned 18.
But Ji and Duo was mind-reading exposed him on the spot, revealing his secret crush on Fu Wanqing for years. Instantly guilty and blushing, Fu Wanqing refused to accept it, pretending to hug Ji and Duo. She secretly slipped a 10-carat diamond bracelet from her wrist into Ji and Duo's pocket, trying to frame her for theft.
Hugging so tightly, as if afraid I wouldn't notice you slipping something into my pocket. Next, you'll cry about losing the bracelet, then catch me red-handed and accuse me of stealing.
Little did she know, Ji and Duo was already aware. She pulled out the bracelet on the spot, exclaiming happily, such an expensive gift for our first meeting? Since you insist, I'll gladly accept it, and she pocketed the bracelet immediately. Fu Wanqing was so angry she nearly fainted. Ji and Duo couldn't help but mock in her mind. She knew how his naive college boy will one day be sent to a 60-year-old sugar mommy's bed by his beloved and drained dry, ending up incontinent and unable to care for himself. Terrified, Shin Yunhao instantly covered his crotch, glaring at Ji and Duo with rage. Aunt Wang timely called everyone for dinner. Shin Mingshu was deeply troubled, so he asked Fu Wanqing to stay as well. The group entered the villa, each with their own agenda. Fu Wanqing's gaze at Ji and Duo was full of malice. Ji and Duo, thrilled with the bracelet, cheered, first day on Earth and I've already earned $1 million. Sweet. Fu Wanqing angry with more spotlight, while Ji and Duo was engrossed in admiring the bracelet. Fu Wanqing stealthily stuck out her foot to trip her. Just as Ji and Duo was about to faceplant, Shin Tingwei appeared in time, hold her firmly and warmed the atmosphere of the two to the extreme.
Wow, this is my domineering CEO husband, handsome and loaded, and still a pure virgin.
Shin Tingwei was slightly flustered by the sudden closeness. After studying Ji and Duo, he softly asked if she was okay. Ji and Duo glanced at Fu Wanqing, who was grinding her teeth in fury, and teased, I'm fine, but someone here seems upset. They returned to the Shin family dining room. Then, sizing up Shin Tingwei, she muttered to herself again.
My bargain husband is seriously good looking. What a pity, he was secretly given slow-acting poison at such a young age. He'll suffer kidney failure in a year. But once he's gone, I'll be a young widow with financial freedom. Even the gods don't live this well.
This inner monologue stunned the entire Shin family present. Shin Tingwei's face was full of disbelief. Shin Mingshu quickly pulled him aside and whispered a reminder. Whatever your wife says comes true, better protect your kidneys. Just as the Shin family was shocked by Tian Duo's prophecy, father-in-law Gu Jing'an returned from a business trip with his briefcase.
What's all this ruckus about?
Shin Mingshu immediately put on a caring smile. She went up and linked arms with him. Tian Duo had just picked up a glass of water to drink. When she looked up and saw Gu Jing'an's face, she was so shocked she spat out all the water in her mouth, giving Fu Wanqing across the table an impromptu facial.
Holy crap. The baby in Fu Wanqing's belly is actually father-in-law's.
This bombshell made Shin Mingshu instantly let go of Gu Jing'an's arm. Shin Tingwei, Shin Yunhao, and Shin Zi were also frozen in shock. Gu Jing'an eyed Tian Duo with displeasure, dismissively scolding her.
Such vulgarity brings shame to our Shin family.
Tian Duo immediately agreed on the surface, but internally mocked him as a gold-digging social climber who married into wealth. As he was because he's rich, just then, anyway, however, has fawningly offering it to Fu Wanqing. Gu Jing'an also urged her warmly to nourish her health. Watching their intimate exchange, Tian Duo suddenly realized Nanny Wang was another of Gu Jing'an's mistresses.
Tian Duo, OS, holy crap. So Nanny Wang is father-in-law's other side piece? Damn, he doesn't spare young or old.
She even roasted him as a time management master, having hooked up with Nanny Wang at a hotel before coming home. She even called out the obvious hickey hidden under Nanny Wang's collar. Provoked by this, Shin Mingshu yanked open Nanny Wang's collar, revealing the love light on her chest. Furious, she demanded, "Explain this mark right now." Nanny Wang cried, "Madam, how dare you? This is my privacy." Caught red-handed, Nanny Wang panicked and clutched her collar shut. But after a glance at Gu Jing'an, she calmed down and insisted it was her personal business. Gu Jing'an backed her up, saying a single woman having a private life is normal.
Nanny Wang is single, her privacy is her own. How could you embarrass her like this in public? Have you no decency?
Shin Mingshu was fuming with rage. Since when do you get to interrupt me? He ordered Aunt Wang to explain herself or pack up and leave. Aunt Wang tearfully said she had served the Shin family for so many years. Her character was beyond reproach, and she felt Shin Mingshu was humiliating her. Fu Wanqing quickly stepped in to mediate. She said Aunt Wang was dating the uncle she used to care for. They just kept it quiet to avoid gossip. Aunt Wang eagerly took the opportunity to save face.
Chen Duo thought, something fishy is going on. Why is Fu Wanqing so eager to cover for Aunt Wang? Is she afraid no one will help her poison if Aunt Wang leaves?
Shen Yunhao snapped at Chen Duo irritably.
Stop talking nonsense.
But Shen Tinghua's face darkened as she sternly reminded him to watch his tone. She's your sister-in-law, she said, though suspicion crept into her mind. Remembering Chen Duo's earlier words, he knocked over the dishes on the table in shock. His mind reeled. I was framed by Dad and Wanqing.
Mom hasn't been involved in the company for years, and the younger siblings are too young. A country bumpkin like me can't stir up any trouble. Once Shen Tinghua leaves, the family fortune will just be handed over to Dad and his mistress in their prime.
The more Shen Tinghua thought, the more horrified she became. She discreetly took out her phone and messaged her assistant, telling him to investigate the drugs Gu Jing'an had bought in the past year. Gu Jing'an and Fu Wanqing exchanged glances, then calmly made excuses to leave. Gu Jing'an claimed a foreign client had arrived unexpectedly, and he needed to meet them personally to show sincerity. He planted a kiss on Shen Mingshu's cheek before hurrying off. Fu Wanqing also pretended to check her phone and said she was meeting a friend. Qian Duo watched them leave one after another. She thought sarcastically, so eager. Are they afraid no one will notice their affair? She stood up, saying she was full, and went upstairs to tidy her room. Shen Ji trembled as she asked Shen Mingshu. Dad and Wanqing Jia couldn't be. Shen Yunhao immediately retorted.
It must be that woman's doing.
Shen Mingshu's eyes hardened with resolve. He slammed the table and said, let's check your father's bedroom. Shen Mingshu, Shen Yunhao, and Shen Ji ransacked Gu Jing'an's room. The bedding and wardrobe were tossed into disarray. Every drawer was pulled out. But they found nothing suspicious. Shen Yunhao complained.
See? Wanqing Jia and Dad aren't like that. It's all Qian Duo stirring trouble.
Shen Ji nodded in agreement. Mom, is it because that Qian Duo is jealous of Wanqing? That's why she's trying to force you to kick her out with such means? Just then, Qian Duo's lazy voice came from the door.
What are you all doing? A group cleaning?
Shen Yunhao was furious. He pointed at Qian Duo and angrily accused her of talking nonsense. Qian Duo pretended to be innocent and said,
What did I say? Sigh, my silly mother-in-law is looking for evidence here. What's the use? The scumbag and the mistress have already been dealt with. Wait, that shameless couple is really bold. They actually dared to have an affair in a hotel owned by the Shen family.
Qian Duo thought to herself. How should I remind them? After all, I don't want to miss such a good show of catching a cheater in a wealthy family. Shen Mingshu's eyes widened instantly upon hearing this. Shen Tingwei glanced thoughtfully at Qian Duo, then turned to Shen Mingshu and said,
Mom, weren't you supposed to inspect the hotel this afternoon?
Shen Mingshu immediately understood. Yes, that's right. I was supposed to.
I want to go too. Take me with you.
Shen Mingshu and her group walked fiercely on the luxurious carpet of the hotel. The hotel manager, sweating profusely, followed closely, trying to stop them. He smiled apologetically and said Chairman Du was discussing business with an important client, and had specifically instructed not to be disturbed. Shen Yunhao frowned and questioned.
What important client dares to stop even my mom?
Shen Zi directly pushed the manager aside and said bluntly, If you know what's good for you, get out of the way now. When they reached the suite door, Shen Mingshu urgently swiped the card and pushed the door, but found it locked. The manager stepped forward again, begging Shen Mingshu not to make things difficult for a small employee like him. Make things difficult? Tell me, who exactly is inside? As soon as she finished speaking, a suppressed moan came from inside the room, followed by a man's heavy breathing, and the rustling sound of fabric rubbing. Qian Duo's eyes instantly lit up, shouting excitedly in her heart.
Here it comes. The climax is about to begin.
Shen Mingshu's face changed, and she directly pushed the manager aside. Shen Tingyue even kicked the suite door open. When Shen Mingshu and the other three saw the scene inside the room, their faces filled with disbelief as their eyes widened. Shen Mingshu and the other three rushed into the suite, but only saw Gu Jing'an sitting neatly dressed on the sofa. Fu Wanqing was sitting on the other side of the sofa, wiping the water stains on the documents on the coffee table with a tissue. Fu Wanqing looked up with just the right amount of surprise, asking, Why are you here? And explained that she had accidentally spilled tea on Uncle's documents just now. Processing. Flashback shows Gu Jing'an and Fu Wanqing were just being intimate. Suddenly, they heard the manager's voice outside the door. Panicked, they quickly picked up their clothes from the floor and dressed properly. Gu Jing'an quickly sat down on the sofa. Fu Wanqing placed 4 teacups on the coffee table. She picked up the teapot and poured it on the documents, pretending to wipe them. Shen Zi sighed in relief and tried to calm Shen Mingshu down. Mom, it seems like a misunderstanding. Please don't be angry. Shen Yunhao glared angrily at Qian Duo, accusing her of framing Wanqing. He even pointed at the 4 teacups on the table as proof of their innocence. Qian Duo blinked her innocent eyes. She asked Fu Wanqing why she was at the hotel if she had plans with friends. Fu Wanqing's face turned pale instantly, and Shen Mingshu also frowned, demanding an explanation. It's like this, Uncle invited Mr. Steven to discuss a collaboration. I happen to have a friend who knows Mr. Steven. So Uncle asked me to make the connection.
Just placing teacups. This Shen Yunhao is really a hopeless romantic. If he knew the lace underwear of his beloved Wanqing was still hidden under the blanket, wouldn't his heart shatter into a QR code on the spot?
These words made Shen Yunhao widen his eyes instantly. Shen Mingshu immediately questioned if there was something under the blanket. Seeing Gu Jing'an's face change drastically, She abruptly lifted the blanket, revealing a sexy black lace underwear. In the luxurious hotel suite, the atmosphere suddenly became tense. Shin Mingshu's chest heaved violently. Her finger trembled as she pointed at the lace underwear on the bed. Furious, she questioned the guilty-looking Gu Jing'an. Gu Jing'an, what is this? Explain yourself. Gu Jing'an's face turned pale instantly, with beads of cold sweat on his forehead. Avoiding eye contact, he stammered that he didn't know what was going on. Then he hurriedly turned and shouted for the manager to come in. Soon, the manager rushed into the room. Seeing the eye-catching lace underwear on the bed, his face turned pale instantly, and he quickly bowed in apology. He explained that it was left behind by the previous guests. The housekeeping staff overlooked it and didn't change the bedding properly. It was all his fault. Gu Jing'an, as if grasping at a lifeline, immediately changed his tone and scolded the manager harshly. He emphasized that such a basic mistake was unacceptable. It almost ruined the hotel's reputation. But Shin Mingshu wasn't so easily fooled. Her sharp eyes darted between the manager and Gu Jing'an. Clearly, she doubted their explanation. Fu Wanqing saw the situation getting worse and worse. Her eyes rolled back as she suddenly passed out. She fell backward stiffly like a plank. Shin Yunhao reacted swiftly, darting forward in a flash. He steadied her with a firm grip, his face full of concern as he gasped in alarm. Gu Jing'an also shouted urgently.
Get to the hospital now.
Without hesitation, Shin Yunhao scooped up Fu Wanqing and dashed outside. The others hurriedly followed suit. Qian Duo stood to the side, arms crossed, letting out a cold snort. She muttered to herself.
Playing the ostrich the moment trouble hits. This sly fox has the Shin family wrapped around her finger.
In a frenzy, everyone rushed Fu Wanqing to the hospital. After a while, the doctor emerged from the ward. He informed them that Fu Wanqing was simply emotionally overwhelmed and had low blood sugar. She'll be fine after some rest. Just then, Shin Mingshu suddenly remembered. Qian Duo had earlier claimed Fu Wanqing was pregnant.
Wait, the child in Fu Wanqing's belly is actually my father-in-law's.
She immediately pressed the doctor. What about the baby? Is it okay too? At those words, Gu Jing'an, standing behind her, froze on the spot. Shock and panic flooded his eyes. Gu Jing'an quickly shook his head at the doctor, signaling him with a glance. Catching the hint, the doctor flipped through the medical records and handed them to Shin Mingshu, saying the report showed no signs of pregnancy. After reviewing the records, Shin Mingshu was completely relieved. Qian Duo scoffed on the side, thinking disdainfully.
Gu Jing'an always brings Fu Wanqing to this private hospital for checkups. He must have long colluded with the doctor.
Shin Tingyue stared at Qian Duo in disbelief. Shin Mingshu, however, furiously scolded her. First, you slandered Wanqing, now you're smearing my father-in-law? Are you determined to ruin our family? Shin Tingyue quickly stepped in to calm Shin Mingshu, saying he'd take Duo outside to talk. He pulled Qian Duo into the hospital garden. With impatience, Shin Tingyue demanded.
Why are you always targeting Dad and Wanqing? And what's the deal with those baseless claims?
Qian Duo feigned ignorance but inwardly grumbled.
This CEO's fate is cursed, standing right where a construction cart will hit him. He's about to get maimed any second now.
Seeing her still cursing him, Shin Tingyue grew angry. He turned, just as a loaded cart barreled toward him. Qian Duo reacted instantly, wrapping an arm around Shin Tingyue's waist. She pivoted deftly, grabbing the cart's handle with her other hand to stop it firmly. Shin Tingyue, now in Qian Duo's arms, stared pale-faced at the scene, stunned. What just happened?
Do you really know what's going to happen?
Qian Duo reached out and patted his shoulder. Then she gently poked his tense chest.
Oh, honey, I was just talking nonsense. I just like you too much. So the moment I saw you in danger, my potential just burst out. Wow, these muscles feel amazing, so firm. So tight. I gotta take advantage of this and feel them while I can.
Shin Tingyue blushed and was about to say something when his phone suddenly rang. It was his assistant calling to inform him that Chairman Gu had been purchasing Chinese medicines containing riboflavin acid every month for this year. Long-term use of this drug would cause rapid kidney failure within a year, and it would be irreversible. Shin Tingyue widened his eyes in disbelief, recalling her saying she would suffer kidney failure in a year. He turned to look at Qian Duo, utterly shocked.
She was right again.
Meanwhile, in the hospital room, Fu Wanqing watched as Shin Mingshu and the others left, her eyes instantly turning cold. She asked Gu Jing'an why they suddenly came to the hotel today, and even knew about her pregnancy. Gu Jing'an suddenly realized it must be that Qian Duo's doing. That girl just arrived at the Shin family and already dug up everything about them. Luckily, he had arranged for a doctor to cooperate in advance, or the truth would have been exposed. Fu Wanqing gritted her teeth, muttering Qian Duo's name. Gu Jing'an said the plan had to be moved up. He took out his phone and made a call.
Saying, the plan is moved up.
Nighttime. Qian Duo sat cross-legged on the sofa in the Shin family villa. A calculator and a stack of draft paper spread out in front of her. Her fingers flew over the abacus beads, muttering about how to cash out more real money before the Shin family went bankrupt. Shin Tingyue walked up beside her, curiously watching her actions and asking what she was doing. Qian Duo didn't even look up as she replied.
This is strategic reserves, economic defense. When money runs short, he'll know to thank me.
Shin Tingyue thought to himself that she must be short on money. He pulled out a shiny black card from his bag and handed it to Qian Duo, saying it was his supplementary card. If she needed money, she could use it. Qian Duo immediately looked up at the sight of it. Her eyes instantly sparkled with excitement, heart pounding with joy.
Wow, fortune comes knocking. A windfall from heaven. No need for fancy calculations when hubby's got the card.
She quickly grabbed the black card, patting her chest in assurance. From now on, if I eat meat, Shintinue gets to wash the dishes. Shintinue's lips curled slightly as he was about to speak. Shin Mingshu walked into the villa, spotting Qianduoduo on the couch. He sternly warned her never to slander Wanqing again. You just got married, behave yourself. Qianduoduo nodded half-heartedly. But inside, she fumed with frustration.
Silly mother-in-law, those two snakes have been scheming behind your back. They're gathering scattered shares to stage a coup. Yet here you are, being used as a pawn. She even promised to support you if the Shin family went bankrupt. And keep you and your sister from dancing at nightclubs.
Shin Mingshu snapped angrily. Enough. Stop mentioning dancing. Qianduoduo blinked innocently, claiming she said nothing. Shin Mingshu cut her off. Don't play dumb with me. You just said they're collecting shares. The next morning, the family gathered for breakfast. After sipping his milk, Shin Yunhao curiously asked Shin Mingshu, "Why'd you call us down so early?" Shin Mingshu exchanged a glance with Shin Tingwei, then solemnly announced, "Now that Tingwei and Duo are married, per Grandma's will, the company goes to Tingwei. Jingyan, hand the Stevens project to Tingwei." Gu Jingyan's face instantly darkened. His coffee cup slipped, shattering on the floor. Coffee splattered everywhere. Fu Wanqing gasped involuntarily. No. All eyes turned to her. Shin Mingshu and Shin Tingwei's gazes were filled with scrutiny and doubt. Realizing her overreaction, Fu Wanqing quickly composed herself, adopting a worried tone. Auntie, the Stevens deal is at a critical stage. Changing hands now might cause unnecessary misunderstandings.
Handing the company to Tingwei can wait. Let's close this deal first. There's no rush.
Shin Mingshu retorted coldly. Why are you two so nervous? Afraid of something? Gu Jingyan and Fu Wanqing tensed, their expressions faltering. Shin Yunhao noticed Fu Wanqing's panicked expression. He quickly grabbed her arm to back her up. Meanwhile, Qianduoduo was leisurely munching on toast. She thought to herself, of course she's scared you'll find out their dirty secrets. These two scumbags not only embezzled company funds, but also turned the Shin family's hotel suite into their personal hideout. They even recorded their indecent activities. How disgusting. Shin Yunhao paused mid-motion and quickly withdrew his outstretched hand, while Shin Tingwei served Shin Zi some food. His eyes were locked on Qianduoduo, waiting to see what drama would unfold next. Just then, Aunt Wang brought over a fresh coffee pot and cups. Qianduoduo sniffed the air, then leaned in to smell the coffee in front of Shin Tingwei.
She asked curiously, honey, why does Dad's coffee smell different from yours?
The question made Aunt Wang, Fu Wanqing, and Gu Jingyan flinch for a split second. Aunt Wang forced a smile and explained, the master and young master prefer different coffee beans, so the aromas are naturally different. Shin Tingwei exchanged a glance with Shin Mingshu, thinking of food and drinks are the perfect opportunity to slip something in. The difference in coffee taste makes it easier to tamper individually. He gently pushed his coffee cup away and said calmly,
Aunt Wang, I don't feel like coffee today. Bring me some milk instead.
Aunt Wang and Gu Jingyan immediately looked uneasy. Fu Wanqing blurted out urgently, Tingwei, it takes Aunt Wang 4 hours to brew this coffee. Wouldn't it be a waste of her effort if you don't drink it? Shin Mingshu shot Fu Wanqing a sharp glare and retorted coldly, since when do the masters of this house need to follow the servants' arrangements? You seem awfully invested in the Shin family's affairs. Seeing Shin Mingshu's anger, Gu Jingyan hurriedly defended himself, claiming Shin Mingshu was talking nonsense. Then he hardly changed the subject.
Fine, we'll do as you say. I happen to have a business trip to Hong Kong these next few days, so Tingwei can take over the negotiations.
The meal continued, but no one noticed the malice in Gu Jingyan's eyes as he stood up. Qianduoduo, full and satisfied, was about to return to her room when she spotted Fu Wanqing on the second-floor hallway, her eyes red, pitifully blocking Shin Tingwei on his way to the study. Fu Wanqing shook back tears and said, "Does Auntie dislike me? Ever since Duo came, she scolded me so many times. I know I always say the wrong thing, but I mean well." She thought these words would make Shin Tingwei pity her, a hint of triumph flashing in her eyes. Little did she know, Shin Tingwei's mind echoed with Qianduoduo's earlier thoughts. Realizing she was framed by Dad and Wanqing, she darkened her expression and said,
Since you know whatever you say is wrong, then say less.
Fu Wanqing froze in shock, tears still hanging on her face.
Honey, you're such a clueless man. Sis Wanqing just wanted you to comfort her, not to shut her up.
Qianduoduo couldn't help but snicker from the side. Calling him clueless, Sis Wanqing just wanted some comfort. Fu Wanqing redirected her anger at Qianduoduo, accusing her of eavesdropping rudely. Qianduoduo stepped in front of them, pointing out the hallway was public space, and Fu Wanqing was talking so loudly, it was hard not to hear. Shin Tingwei stepped forward, pulling Qianduoduo halfway into his embrace, coolly reminding Fu Wanqing.
Duo is my wife. Watch your words.
Fu Wanqing gritted her teeth in fury, glaring at Qianduoduo before turning and stomping away in her heels. Qianduoduo watched Fu Wanqing's furious retreat, thinking to herself, sure, Shin Tingwei is clueless, but his protective side is kinda hot. Hearing this, Shin Tingwei smirked slightly as they returned to the living room. Qianduoduo sat on the couch, engrossed in the TV, while Shin Tingwei peeled oranges for her. Just then, Shin Mingshu came home, followed by a handsome middle-aged man. She introduced him as Uncle Qin, Duo's elder, her old classmate who'd been abroad, and Mr. Stevens' grad school buddy. He flew back specifically to help negotiate. Munching on an orange, Tian Duo sized up Qin Shuwen. Thinking, so this is Qin Shuwen, Mom's longtime secret admirer. Shin Mingshu beamed, reassured. While Tian Duo mentally added, Mom didn't consider if she thought of Qin Shuwen. How could Dad not? He kept it quiet. Because Qin's already on his side. Upon Dad planted. To smear Mom as cheating and embezzling at the signing. Shin Mingshu's smile froze.
Tian Duo, OS after Mom's downfall. This Qin Shuwen even became her top patron. Later luring her into a private meetup. Only to trap and torment her for days. Damn, are all middle-aged people in this world this wild? Hey, you know what? This forced love plot is actually pretty addictive.
Shin Mingshu clenched her fists in anger, and Shin Tingyue quickly grabbed her hand. Said to Qin Shuwen.
It's getting late, and we have other matters to attend to. We won't keep you for dinner.
A flicker of surprise crossed Qin Shuwen's face. Calmly stating he'd come back tomorrow morning to pick up Shin Mingshu, he then left. After Qin Shuwen left, Shin Tingyue pulled Shin Mingshu into the kitchen, whispering to ask her what she planned to do. Shin Mingshu said angrily, "Dare to scheme against me? Do you really think I'm a pushover?" Then she suddenly remembered what Tian Duo had said earlier. That Gu Jingyan liked to record his affairs. She then looked at Shin Tingyue. Her gaze turning sharp as she said, "Find a way to get that video. If he doesn't pull any tricks at the signing ceremony, we'll let bygones be bygones. But if he really slanders me as Duo said, I'll make sure he reaps what he sows." Shin Tingyue froze for a moment, then nodded in agreement. Meanwhile, Tian Duo was completely unaware of the undercurrents in the living room. Still engrossed in watching TV. Shin Tingyue returned to the living room and handed a peeled orange to Tian Duo. His eyes carrying a hint of complexity. He was becoming more certain that Tian Duo's words weren't faceless. This seemingly ordinary country girl hid too many secrets. But Tian Duo was too busy eating the orange, completely oblivious to Shin Tingyue's odd behavior. Her mind was still replaying the drama she just watched, unaware that a huge conspiracy targeting the Shin family was about to erupt at the signing ceremony. In the opulent banquet hall, the large screen displayed the words signing ceremony. Camera flashes went off non-stop. Stephen and Shin Tingyue stood on stage shaking hands, congratulating each other as guests came forward to offer their praise, calling this collaboration an industry benchmark. Some even complimented Gu Jingyan. Shin Mingshu quickly seized the moment, using the opportunity to announce, since Tingyue independently secured this deal, he had decided to fully transfer Mingsheng Group's management rights to Tingyue. Gu Jingyan and Fu Wanqing's faces instantly darkened. The guests below began whispering, saying the old Shin couple had long wanted to hand the company to young Shin. But Gu Jingyan had clung to power. Gu Jingyan composed himself, putting on a gentle facade, saying he'd have more time to spend with Shin Mingshu from now on.
Back when you were a poor scholar from the countryside pursuing my mother-in-law, you wouldn't even replace your worn-out shoes. Now you're wearing Italian handmade leather shoes, and lying without batting an eye.
At this moment, Gu Jingyan and Fu Wanqing exchanged a glance. Fu Wanqing mouthed the word action. Gu Jingyan stepped onto the stage and took the microphone. First, he fondly recalled his past with Shin Mingshu, saying he always put her first, then suddenly shifted the tone, declaring bitterly, "But I never imagined that my wife of decades, who shared hardships with me, would disregard our marital bond, commit adultery, and embezzle assets. I've decided to divorce her." The room erupted in chaos as reporters swarmed forward. Camera flashes went off like crazy. Shin Mingshu suppressed her rage, calling Gu Jingyan's claims nonsense. Stephen frowned and asked what was really going on. Fu Wanqing stepped forward at the right moment, her face full of heartbreak and reluctance. With a choked voice, she said, "When I went to the company to deliver documents to Uncle, I saw you and Mr. Qin Shuwen acting intimately in the office. You even discussed transferring the company's core assets to your private overseas accounts." The room erupted again at her words. Stephen also looked displeased. Tian Duo marveled inwardly at how far they'd go to smear someone with such lies. Then she thought of an even juicier secret. She continued mentally.
After all, she's not some old family friend's daughter, but the child of Gu Jingyan's white moonlight and another man. Gu Jingyan is truly bold. Switching Fu Wanqing with the real Fu family heiress. Fu Wanqing has lived a privileged life for over 20 years thanks to that, so of course she'd side with Gu Jingyan.
Her words made Shin Tingyue, Shin Yunhao, Shin Zi, and Stephen all stare at Fu Wanqing in shock. Shin Mingshu staggered back a step, caught just in time by Shin Tingyue. Shin Yunhao whispered in disbelief to Shin Mingshu, "Is it true about you and Qin Shuwen?" Shin Tingyue hissed at him not to be misled. Just then, the banquet hall's large screen lit up, displaying edited photos of Shin Mingshu and Qin Shuwen in compromising poses, and forged financial transaction records. Fu Wanqing said tearfully, "I stumbled upon all this by accident. I couldn't bear to see the Shin family betrayed."
Today is an important day for the two companies signing. Please, mind the occasion.
But Gu Jingyan said with deep sorrow, "Shin Mingshu went too far. I kept tolerating it, and she only grew worse." Several incited shareholders glared angrily at Shin Mingshu, accusing her of betraying their trust. Tian Duo sneered inwardly.
What a masterful twist of black and white. No wonder my husband's kidneys failed, and soon after, he met his demise. All to protect his mother and the company.
Shin Tingyue quickly covered Qian Duoduo's mouth to stop her from thinking further. Shin Mingxu was utterly heartbroken, staring straight at Gu Jing'an, demanding if he truly intended to slander her so ruthlessly. Gu Jing'an held up a USB drive, claiming it contained evidence of Shin Mingxu colluding with Qin Shuwen, pretending he still cared for their marital bond, saying Shin Mingxu left him no choice. Fu Wanqing added fuel to the fire, saying uncle was hospitalized for appendicitis after overworking on his last business trip. He even insisted no one tell Auntie to spare her worry. Yet this is how Auntie repays him.
Pa, overwork my foot. He was fooling around with some new model. Landed himself in the hospital and caught something nasty. Thankfully, mother-in-law had long since moved to a separate room. Or where would the high society lady's dignity be?
Shin Mingxu ate weakness. Don't play that, or this family is finished. Gu Jing'an, confident of victory, ordered the staff to proceed. But instead of alleged affair evidence, the screen displayed Gu Jing'an and Fu Wanqing in a hotel suite, tangled in passion, accompanied by scandalous sounds. The room erupted. Reporters snapped photos frantically. The video continued to play. Guests murmured at the steamy scenes. Some mocked Gu Jing'an's tearful accusations as a joke. Others recognized Fu Wanqing in the video, joking about her usual filial piety. Fu Wanqing shrieked and rushed the stage. Her heels slipped on the polished floor, nearly toppling her. She tried to block the screen, screaming, "Turn it off now." As the video ended, Stephen frowned deeply. Displeased, he told Gu Jing'an all his companies would sever ties, denouncing him as a wife-abandoning hypocrite. Gu Jing'an scrambled to explain, claiming Shin Mingxu bribed technicians to fake the video.
Is this the legendary shift blame fast enough, morality can't catch up? The video's HD and censored, with Dolby sound, and he still dares play victim? Sigh. The old fool even brought his mistress around. What wouldn't he stoop to?
Shin Mingxu laughed coldly. Her voice rose sharply, each word a dagger. Gu Jing'an, you still pine for your white moonlight, and even arranged your daughter to stay by her side. Don't think no one knows what you've done. To seize my Shin family's fortune, you and your mistress orchestrated this scheme, slandering me for secret meetings, transferring assets. What a brilliant plan. The crowd erupts in chaos again. Reporters keep snapping photos with their flashes. Gu Jing'an and Fu Wanqing turn pale, panicking. Gu Jing'an forces himself to stay composed, claiming this is all a play carefully designed by Shin Mingxu, just to tarnish his reputation. Shin Mingxu scoffs coldly. She gives Shin Tingyue a meaningful look. Shin Tingyue immediately hands her a thick document folder. Take a good look, everyone. These are records of Gu Jing'an secretly buying Mingxing's scattered shares over the past 6 months. And proof of him transferring assets to purchase properties overseas. The one truly hollowing out Mingsheng and betraying the marriage is him.
Wow. As expected of my mother-in-law. In her youth, she dominated the business world. After marriage, she gave birth to such handsome sons like my husband. Even in old age, she can still tear that scumbag apart.
Reporters below the stage snap photos frantically as several shareholders rush forward angrily. They grab the documents, flip through them, and furiously surround Gu Jing'an. Grabbing his collar, they scold him as a traitorous ingrate. Shin Mingxu declares firmly, "From this moment on, my marriage with Gu Jing'an is dissolved, and his position at Mingsheng Group is revoked. I'll also take legal action to recover all the assets he transferred." She turns to Stephen, promising that her son Shin Tingyue will officially take over as CEO and oversee the group's operations entirely. Stephen observes the interaction between Shin Tingyue and Qian Duoduo. A flicker of admiration flashes in his eyes, saying he's willing to give Mingsheng another chance. Shin Mingxu shouts to the security, ordering them to kick Gu Jing'an and Fu Wanqing out, and never let them step foot in Mingsheng again. Gu Jing'an suddenly drops to his knees. Clutching Shin Mingxu's leg, he begs tearfully. Shin Mingxu kicks him away in disgust, telling security to drive them both out.
You'll regret this. I won't let you off easy.
Shin Mingxu sobs on the couch while Shin Tingyue and others comfort her. Shin Zi urges her to pull herself together. The company is in chaos. She and her eldest brother need to take charge. Shin Mingxu wipes her tears, saying that scumbag Gu Jing'an isn't worth her grief. She looks at Qian Duoduo and apologizes sincerely, admitting she misunderstood her earlier and thanking her for her help. Qian Duoduo waves it off, saying it was mostly her mother-in-law's thorough preparation. Only then can we expose the scumbag on the spot. Shin Ji praised Qian Duoduo, calling her the lucky star of the Shin family. He whispered, asking if the family would avoid bankruptcy now, and if he and his mom wouldn't have to dance anymore.
Well, sigh, that despicable couple is at it again. Ugh, that toad just can't stop. One day without causing trouble and he's all itchy.
Just then, Shin Tinghue's phone buzzed. He checked it and frowned deeply. He told Shin Mingxu.
The company's chief cost engineer was poached by Gu Jing'an for a sky-high price.
Shin Mingxu bolted upright from the couch, exclaiming, "What? The municipal land auction is the day after tomorrow. He's trying to cut off our path." Shin Yunhao also panicked, unsure what to do. But Qian Duoduo blinked thoughtfully. She secretly rejoiced. Cost engineering? That's totally my expertise. But I've never worked a day in my life, and I'm from the countryside. How can I make them believe I'm the godmother of cost engineering? The Shin family turned to Qian Duoduo with hopeful eyes. Shin Mingxu quickly said, "Duoduo, come with us to the auction the day after tomorrow." At the auction, guests buzzed about the scarcity of the West District land. Gu Jing'an arrived with Fu Wanqing, flaunting their poached star cost engineer, Mr. Wang. He arrogantly mocked the Shin family, saying they'd be lost without Mr. Wang. Fu Wanqing sneered. No one's helping you calculate costs. Yet you still came to the auction? Isn't this just asking for humiliation? Shin Mingshu calmly countered. Introducing Qian Duo, disguised in sunglasses, as Mingxing's ace cost engineer. Gu Jingyan scoffed.
Someone too scared to even show their face? What real skills could they have?
The West District land auction began, starting at 200 million. Bidding quickly climbed to 230 million. After Mr. Wang whispered advice, Gu Jingyan directly raised it to 400 million. The crowd gasped. Just as the auctioneer was about to finalize it, Qian Duo suddenly raised her paddle and called out 430 million. A bidding war ensued with Gu Jingyan. Gu Jingyan finally snapped and won the land for 600 million, smugly triumphant. Qian Duo didn't argue, just smirked inwardly, playing along with the act. She silently watched Gu Jingyan walk right into her trap. She already knew the land was riddled with complex active fault lines underground. She drove up the price to force Gu Jingyan into paying a fortune for this death pit. After Gu Jingyan secured the West District land, the auctioneer introduced the East District's derelict wasteland, starting at 30 million. The crowd was unimpressed. Qian Duo, foreseeing its potential, calmly raised the bid to 50 million. And easily won the land. Fu Wanqing immediately taunted. Are you insane? Treating this garbage like treasure? Facing the mockery, Qian Duo stayed unruffled.
Who told you we bought this land to develop it ourselves?
Of course, we're waiting for it to appreciate.
With some luck, we might even make several times the profit.
Fu Wanqing laughed at her terrible judgment. She stepped forward, took off Qian Duo's sunglasses, and burst into laughter upon recognizing her. So it's you, this country bumpkin. Mingsheng actually said to village woman to bid. You're doomed sooner or later. Just as she finished speaking, a thunderous uproar erupted from the guests in the back. Official documents announced, the Eastern District has been designated as a key education demonstration zone. The value of the soon-to-be demolished land skyrocketed by over 10 times. The room fell dead silent. The reversal was utterly unexpected. Gu Jingyan watched Qian Duo snatch the opportunity. He forced himself to stay composed.
Just a blind cat stumbling on a dead mouse. My land in the West will bring in billions in pure profit.
I suggest you call your survey team at the site right now.
Engineer Wang's phone rang. After the call, his face turned as pale as paper. Turns out, the Western land really has an active fault line. Gu Jingyan's high-priced bid was indeed a money pit. Learning the truth about the Western land, plus the monthly bank loan of over 6 million, Gu Jingyan couldn't take the blow and fainted right there in the auction hall. To wake him up, Qian Duo asked the host to fetch some stinky water just used to mop the toilets, calling it the physical awakening method. The pungent stench made everyone cover their noses. But Qian Duo calmly scooped water from the bucket. Shin Tingwei cooperatively pried open Gu Jingyan's mouth. As the foul water was about to splash his face, Gu Jingyan jolted awake instantly.
Wow, that was way too fast. This isn't foul water, it's divine luck.
Fu Wanqing, mortified, helped Gu Jingyan flee in embarrassment. He muttered a weak threat, making the whole room burst into laughter. The Shin family won decisively, and Qian Duo shed her country girl label for good. Radiating confidence, the Shin household returned to peace after the auction. In the living room, Shin Tingwei handled paperwork. Shin Mingshu flipped through a fashion magazine. Shin Yi sat cross-legged, opening blind boxes. Shin Yunhao sprawled on the sofa, scrolling his phone. Qian Duo sat on the couch, playing a CEO novel out loud. Hearing the line the madam already stinks. The Shin family roughed and louder.
What the heck? Is the world this crazy?
Shin Zi handed an unopened blind box to Qian Duo for help, saying she'd bought 300 but still hadn't gotten the hidden edition. Qian Duo absentmindedly opened it. A rainbow-colored plush bear appeared. Shin Zi let out a deafening scream. Hugged Qian Duo tightly, and planted several kisses on her. Shin Tingwei's tone was laced with jealousy.
Z.
Shin Zi quickly stopped. Shin Yunhao teased his little sister for being too impulsive. He, on the other hand, remained calm. Just then, a text from Fu Wanqing popped up on his phone. Yunhao, I had my reasons for what happened before. Can you meet me? Let's meet at the park tomorrow at 10 a.m. Shin Yunhao immediately sat up straight. Qian Duo caught a glimpse of the message. Her brows furrowed slightly. She suddenly exchanged a glance with Shin Tingwei. Shin Tingwei understood. She said sternly to Shin Yunhao, "Don't go. It's a trap." Shin Yunhao's face turned pale. In the end, he angrily threw his phone back onto the couch. I can't be bothered with her. The commotion was temporarily quelled. At Shin Zi's birthday party, the venue was packed and buzzing with excitement. Qian Duo and Shin Tingwei received guests side by side, tacit understanding. Shin Mingshu watched their closeness with a pleased smile. Even Shin Yunhao, usually love-struck, was helping with the guests. The Shin family presented a picture of harmony. Suddenly, a commotion erupted at the entrance. Fu Wanqing, arm in arm with Gu Jingyan, strutted in boldly. Guests turned to stare, whispering about their audacity. Shin Mingshu's face darkened. He stepped forward to block them, stating bluntly they weren't welcome. Gu Jingyan shamelessly retorted.
Can a father come to wish his daughter well?
Fu Wanqing chimed in with fake sincerity. Z and I were once close friends. I'm here to genuinely congratulate her. The two men broke into the venue despite obstruction. Shin Tingwei beckoned Qian Duo over. Qian Duo approached, casually placing her half-finished champagne glass on the table. Fu Wanqing watched Qian Duo's every move, seizing the moment when she stepped away, under the cover of the crowd. She quickly poured powder into the glass. Gu Jingyan then sidled up to the isolated Shin Yunhao, giving Fu Wanqing a thumbs up. Fu Wanqing smirked triumphantly, muttering venomously. On the day of the birthday party, the scandal of the Shin family's sister-in-law and brother-in-law's affair will break. Let's see how the Shin family keeps their dignity in high society after this. Shin Ningshu stepped forward, inviting guests to move to the dining area. Duo returned to the table and picked up her glass. Noticing Fu Wanqing's gaze fixed on her, she teased literally.
Did you spike my drink or something?
Fu Wanqing's heart skipped a beat. Yet, she feigned disdain and pretended to leave. Seeing this, Duo pretended to lower her guard and took a sip of wine. A flash of joy instantly crossed Fu Wanqing's eyes. Meanwhile, Shin Yunhao finished his wine and prepared to leave. Gu Jing'an stopped him with father-son sentiments, but they barely exchanged a few words. Shin Yunhao suddenly felt dizzy. He collapsed straight into Gu Jing'an's arms. Almost simultaneously, Duo also lost all strength. The wine glass shattered on the floor. She fell into Fu Wanqing's embrace. Fu Wanqing and Gu Jing'an exchanged a glance. Both silently thought, success. The two struggled to drag Duo and Shin Yunhao into the guest room. After tossing them onto the bed, they stood in the hallway. Fu Wanqing pressed her ear against the door for a long time. Hearing no movement inside, Gu Jing'an impatiently suggested checking. As they reached to push the door, it suddenly swung open. Duo and Shin Yunhao stood casually at the doorway. Arms crossed, they smirked at the flustered pair. Fu Wanqing screamed in disbelief, demanding to know why they weren't unconscious. Duo dripped with sarcasm, pointing out the drug's pungent smell and mocking their lack of intelligence.
Or are you two just looking for a stable job?
Gu Jing'an flushed with anger, boasting that hotel cameras captured them alone together, threatening to ruin the Shin family's reputation. Duo just smiled brightly, playfully pointing behind them. Fu Wanqing and Gu Jing'an stiffly turned around. Shin Tingwei, Shin Ningshu, and Shin Ji stood with two police officers, waiting behind them all along. The lead officer stepped forward, announcing that Gu Jing'an and Fu Wanqing were under investigation for multiple large overdue debts. This time, they walked right into the trap. Fu Wanqing instantly broke down, screaming if this was all a setup from the beginning. Duo raised an eyebrow. Stepping closer, she looked down at her, unleashing a full-force verbal smackdown.
Obviously. Did you think the Shin family security was made of paper? From the moment you stepped into the banquet hall, your every move was monitored. As for your so-called surveillance, sorry, but this hotel's security system is fully owned by the Shin family. You're drugging and dragging people around, all caught on camera.
Pausing, she scanned the watching guests and raised her voice.
Did you really think petty tricks could destroy the Shin family? Your pathetic tricks aren't even worthy of shining our shoes.
Shin Yunhao adds insult to injury, pulls out the pre-prepared antidote, mocks their opponent's feeble attempts. Gu Jing'an turns deathly pale, collapsing to the ground motionless. The police swiftly handcuff the two, escorts them away amidst desperate curses as the turmoil subsides. Shin Tingwei takes Duo's hand. A solid gold ring suddenly slips onto her ring finger. Duo is overjoyed. Learns there's also a pure gold phoenix crown weighing 10 pounds. Instantly clings to Shin Tingwei, sweetly calling him hubby. Shin Zi teases them about their sickeningly sweet romance. Shin Tingwei adoringly tightens his embrace around Duo. The group chats and laughs, heading toward the dining area, leaving behind a room filled with warmth.